Aquarius, what if the reason nothing has moved yet isn't because you didn't try hard enough, but because you've been pushing past the moment it was meant to arrive? Pause for a second. Notice this. Right now, January 30 to 31, life isn't asking you to do more, decide faster, or prove anything. It's asking you to stop pushing, because something has been circling your life quietly, not responding to effort, not reacting to pressure, but waiting for the exact moment you finally exhale and stop forcing the next step. If you've been feeling tired in a way, rest doesn't fix. If slowing down feels strangely uncomfortable, this message is already touching the part of you that knows why. If this resonates, comment, "I stop pushing." Not as a wish, but as a signal. Oh, and stay with me, because what's arriving now was never late. It was waiting for this version of you. Aquarius, stay with me right here. There's a quiet moment that happens when no one is watching. Not dramatic, not loud, just you. Noticing that the tension you've been carrying didn't come from the world. It came from how long you've been holding yourself together. You don't talk about this part much, but I know it. That subtle pressure in your chest when you feel time passing. That habit of preparing for outcomes that haven't even asked for you yet. You've learned to stay ahead of life, to predict, to brace, to stay mentally alert, even when your body is asking for stillness. And here's the strange truth no one tells you. Life doesn't open faster when you lean forward. Sometimes it opens when you finally lean back. Right now, something inside you is softening. Not because you're weak, but because you're no longer fighting the current just to prove you can swim. There's a difference between movement and force, and you're beginning to feel it in your bones. Let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you trusted that your presence alone was enough, without fixing, planning, or anticipating what comes next? This space you're standing in now feels unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable, because it doesn't reward urgency. It rewards honesty. The kind that happens when you stop negotiating with yourself. You've outgrown the version of you that survived by pushing. That version did its job. It kept you going when no one else noticed your effort, but it doesn't get to lead anymore. What's arriving doesn't need to be chased. It needs room. And room is created when you stop crowding your own life with expectations. There's a softer intelligence moving around you now. Not loud signs, not sudden breakthroughs, just alignment showing up quietly, in conversations that feel lighter, in pauses that don't feel empty anymore, in the sense that you don't have to explain yourself so much. This is where Aquarius often misunderstands themselves. You think stillness means stagnation, but stillness is where recalibration happens. It's where your nervous system remembers what safety feels like without achievement attached to it. And listen closely. If something hasn't responded to your effort before, it's not because you weren't enough. It's because effort was never the key. Ask yourself this. What if the next step appears only when you stop leaning into the future and finally stand fully where you are? There's relief here, not excitement, not adrenaline, relief. The kind that tells you you're no longer late for your own life. As this unfolds, you may notice something else. You're less interested in convincing, less interested in proving, more interested in what feels clean, simple, and real. That's not you losing momentum. That's you entering a different kind of power. Stay with this feeling. Let it breathe. Because what's opening next doesn't arrive with force. It arrives with recognition. And you'll know it the moment you don't feel the need to push at all. Aquarius, there's something I want to say softly because this part of the story is delicate. If you're listening to this at this stage of life, you've probably noticed a strange pattern. You see things early, you understand people before they understand themselves. You sense where the world is heading long before it gets there, and yet, your own results seem to take longer. Not because you're slow, but because you arrive before the room is ready. This is the quiet frustration of an older Aquarius. You carry insights that don't immediately turn into applause. You speak truths that need time to land. You build ideas that feel invisible until suddenly they're everywhere. Let me ask you something gently. How many times have you wondered if you missed your moment, when in reality, your moment hadn't learned how to recognize you yet? People like you are rarely rewarded early, not because you lack value, but because your value doesn't fit neatly into the present moment. You move ahead of trends, ahead of systems, ahead of collective comfort. That can feel lonely. It can feel like standing still while everyone else seems to pass you by. But what's actually happening is subtler than that. You're not behind the timeline. you're ahead of it. There's a reason life has been asking you to wait. Waiting has been shaping you, refining your voice, strengthening your discernment, teaching you patience without bitterness. And here's something few people understand about you. You're not here to arrive first. You're here to arrive aligned. Because when your work finally meets the right environment, it doesn't need explaining. It doesn't need convincing. It lands fully formed. And think back for a moment. How many ideas did you once feel unsure about, only to watch the world catch up years later? That wasn't coincidence. That was confirmation. What's approaching now isn't something new being dropped into your life. It's something familiar returning, but this time, meeting the version of you who can hold it without strain. You needed time to become emotionally steady enough, clear enough, rooted enough in yourself to receive without rushing. Ask yourself this quietly. What if the delay was not a denial, but a protection? Because had it arrived earlier, it would have cost you parts of yourself you were not meant to lose. This phase feels different, less urgent, more grounded. You're no longer chasing relevance, you're embodying it. And as this realization settles in, something shifts in the way you move. You stop measuring yourself against other timelines. You stop questioning your pace. You begin to understand this truth. Being early often feels like being late, until the moment everyone else arrives and realizes you were already there. Stay with this feeling, because what's unfolding next doesn't need speed, it needs readiness. And you, Aquarius, have been becoming ready for a very long time. All right, stay with me here, Aquarius. We're still walking together. Nothing is rushing us, nothing needs to be proven. There's a quiet shift in the air now, not the kind that announces itself, not the kind that knocks loudly. It moves more like recognition. What's coming toward you doesn't feel dramatic at first. It feels respectful. It meets you where you are, instead of asking you to stretch, bend, or hurry. And that alone may feel unfamiliar, because so much of your life required effort just to be seen. You may notice it arrives gently, a message that feels oddly timely, an invitation that doesn't drain you before you even answer, a change in your financial rhythm that doesn't excite your ego, but steadies your nervous system. Let that sink in for a moment. Steady, not flashy. Sustainable, not urgent. This is not the kind of reward that asks you to fight for it. It doesn't test your endurance. It doesn't measure how badly you want it. It simply recognizes that you're ready. And here's something important I want you to hear. You are not being chosen because you waited long enough. You're being met because you no longer grasp. There is a difference. Earlier in life, opportunities may have required you to explain yourself, to justify your pace, to convince others of your value. That phase taught you clarity, but it also taught you exhaustion. Now, the tone has changed. What aligns with you now doesn't need persuasion. It doesn't ask you to shrink your standards or overextend your energy. It already knows who you are because your presence carries that information naturally. Have you noticed how you no longer feel the urge to chase recognition? How silence no longer feels like rejection? That's not detachment, that's self-trust. And self-trust is magnetic. What's unfolding recognizes your patience not as waiting, but as preparation. Every pause sharpened your discernment. Every delay taught you what is worth your time. This is why what arrives now feels clean. No hidden costs, no emotional debt, no sense of owing your soul for access. Ask yourself this quietly. What if this moment isn't about finally receiving, but about finally receiving without losing yourself? Because this is the reward few talk about. Being met without compromise. Being welcomed without explanation. Being valued without urgency. You might even miss it at first, because it doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with calm. And calm, for you, is not boredom. It's alignment. Notice how your body responds when you consider what's coming. There's no rush, no tightening, just a grounded yes. That's how you know it's real. As this energy settles in, you'll realize something subtle but powerful. You no longer need to announce your arrival. The room adjusts when you enter. Stay present here, because what follows isn't louder, it's deeper. And depth, Aquarius, has always been your true reward. Stay with me, Aquarius. Let the quiet stay quiet for a moment. There's a reason this timing feels precise in a way you can't quite explain. Not exciting, not overwhelming, just unmistakably right. What you're stepping into now could not have met you earlier. Not because you weren't capable, but because you were still giving pieces of yourself away without noticing. Earlier versions of you would have said yes too quickly. You would have adapted, smoothed the edges, carried the weight quietly, telling yourself it was part of the process, and no one would have seen the cost, except your nervous system, except your sleep, except that subtle feeling of being slightly misaligned with your own life. That's what this pause was protecting, because freedom has a frequency, and you had to grow into it. Right now, and there's a steadiness in you that didn't exist before. You're clearer about what drains you, more honest about what you will not negotiate, less impressed by appearances, more devoted to integrity. That clarity didn't arrive overnight. It came from moments when you chose yourself quietly, from boundaries that felt uncomfortable at first, from walking away without needing closure. Let me ask you something gently. Can you feel how much lighter your decisions are now, simply because you no longer need permission to honor your standards? That's the difference. What aligns with you now had to wait until you stopped betraying yourself in small, invisible ways, until you no longer confused tolerance with wisdom, until your no became as grounded as your yes. This isn't about luck finding you. It's about you no longer accepting what isn't true to you. Earlier opportunities would have demanded flexibility that cost you peace. They would have blurred your values in the name of progress. They would have made you productive, but quietly resentful. And you know this now because you can feel the contrast. What arrives at this stage doesn't ask you to bend. It meets you upright. It respects your rhythm. It fits into your life instead of taking it over. There's something deeply healing about being chosen without performance, about being met without having to explain your depth, about realizing you don't need to prove how much you've endured. You've already done the work. Notice how your energy responds to this understanding. There's no spike of adrenaline, no fear of losing it, just a grounded sense of enough. That's not settling, that's sovereignty. And here's a truth not often spoken out loud. Some things wait because they need you to stop compromising your future to survive the present. You're not here to be endlessly accommodating. You're here to live in alignment with who you actually are. This moment carries that recognition, not loudly, not urgently, but unmistakably. Let this land. Because once you understand why it had to wait, you stop questioning the timing, and as this settles into your body, you may feel a subtle readiness for something even quieter, something that doesn't announce change, but rearranges your inner world in a lasting way. Stay close. What unfolds next doesn't rush in. It arrives when you're fully here to receive it. All right, Aquarius, let's stay right here for a moment, because what's happening now is easy to miss if you're expecting noise. The shift doesn't announce itself. It doesn't rush in with excitement or demand your attention. It arrives quietly, almost politely. And if you're not listening with your body instead of your mind, you might think nothing has changed at all, but something has. You may notice it in the way you pause before responding, not because you're unsure, but because you no longer feel pressured to fill space. Silence doesn't threaten you anymore. It feels neutral, sometimes even comforting. That's new. There was a time when quiet moments triggered urgency in you, a need to fix, to clarify, to keep things moving so nothing slipped away. Now, stillness doesn't register as danger. It registers as information. You're also less willing to hold on to things that almost fit, conversations that require effort just to stay afloat, commitments that feel slightly off but familiar enough to tolerate. You don't dramatize the release. You simply don't reach for them anymore. Let me ask you something softly. When was the last time you noticed yourself choosing rest over reaction, without guilt following behind? That choice marks a realignment. This kind of change doesn't flood your system with adrenaline. There's no rush of excitement, no high to chase. And that can feel confusing if you've been conditioned to associate intensity with progress. But your body tells the truth. You sleep more deeply. Your thoughts slow down at night. Your chest doesn't tighten over decisions the way it used to. This is not boredom. This is regulation. You are settling into a rhythm that doesn't require constant self-management. Your days begin to feel less like something you must survive and more like something you can inhabit. There's a subtle dignity in this phase. You're no longer pulled by every signal from the outside world. You listen inward first, and then, only if it resonates, you move. That's alignment. It doesn't ask for validation. It doesn't need witnesses. It simply works. What's beautiful about this stage is that it changes everything without forcing anything. Your relationships shift because you show up differently. Your work evolves because your energy is cleaner. Your choices refine themselves because your tolerance for noise has dropped. You may even notice that urgency leaves your voice. Your presence becomes steadier. People sense it without knowing why. And here's something important. This calm is not the absence of ambition. It's ambition that no longer panics. You still care deeply. You still envision a better future, but you're no longer sacrificing your nervous system to get there. Ask yourself this quietly. What if this steadiness is not the end of movement, but the foundation that allows movement to finally be sustainable? Because from this place, you don't burn out. You build. You don't rush ahead of yourself. You arrive whole. Stay with this feeling. Because when life starts responding to this version of you, it won't feel loud or dramatic. It will feel natural, as if things are finally moving at the speed of your truth. And that rhythm, Aquarius, is going to carry you somewhere very real. Stay here with me, Aquarius. This part feels different in your chest, softer, almost unfamiliar. There's a sense now that you don't have to brace yourself anymore. No need to prepare defenses. No need to rehearse explanations in your head before speaking. Something in you recognizes safety before the mind catches up. And when that happens, you notice it immediately. Your shoulders don't tighten. Your breath doesn't shorten. You don't scan for what could go wrong. That's how you know this connection is real. There may be someone, or a presence, or even an energy that steps into your life quietly, not demanding attention, not asking for access, simply arriving and staying consistent. They don't rush you. They don't interrupt your rhythm. They don't try to improve you. And that alone feels radical. You've spent much of your life being misunderstood, too complex, too far ahead, too detached, or too intense, depending on who was observing. So, you learned how to explain yourself, how to soften your language, how to make your inner world easier to digest. But with this kind of connection, none of that is necessary. You notice you don't feel the urge to clarify. You don't overthink your words after you say them. You don't replay conversations at night, wondering if you revealed too much or not enough. There is space here, and respect. Let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you felt understood without having to be translated? This is what it means to meet someone at your frequency. Not because they are identical to you, but because they are regulated enough to stay present with your depth. They don't try to pull you out of yourself. They don't accelerate your process. They don't frame growth as urgency. Instead, they walk beside you, matching pace, matching presence. And that does something profound to you. You begin to show up more honestly, not louder, not smaller, just clearer. Your nervous system recognizes this as nourishment, not stimulation, not distraction, but genuine connection. This is rare for you, Aquarius, because you are used to being the container for others, the listener, the observer, the one who holds space while staying slightly apart. But here, you don't have to manage the connection. It holds itself. You may even feel moments of disbelief, a quiet wondering if this ease can last, if you're missing something. That question doesn't come from intuition, it comes from old conditioning. And this connection isn't here to activate your wounds. It isn't here to teach you through pain. It isn't here to challenge your worth. It's here to coexist. Notice how different that feels in your body. There's no spike, no emotional roller coaster, just steadiness. And steadiness for you is intimacy. As this presence settles into your life, you may find yourself becoming more yourself without effort, less guarded, more grounded. You don't lose your independence here. You don't sacrifice your inner world. You bring it with you. Ask yourself this quietly. What becomes possible when connection no longer costs you your center? This is not a dramatic chapter. It's a sustaining one. And as you allow this rhythm to continue, you'll realize something important. You were never meant to walk alone. You were meant to walk unpulled. Stay close to this feeling, because what unfolds from here builds gently. And gently, for you, is where things finally last. Stay with me, Aquarius. There's a softer power waking up now. Not loud, not dramatic, but unmistakable once you feel it. For a long time, you believed movement required force. That effort was proof of care, that if you stopped pushing, life would pause without you. That nothing would happen unless you made it happen. That belief kept you moving. It also kept you tired. What you're discovering now is something quieter and far more radical. Not everything responds to pressure. Some things respond to presence. When you push for too long, your energy carries a subtle message. I am not there yet. I need this to work. I am reaching, and the world listens to energy before it listens to words. When you stop forcing, something changes beneath the surface. Your choices slow down. Your attention sharpens. You begin to feel what is right instead of calculating what might work. This is not passivity. This is discernment. Aquarius, you don't need another strategy. You've lived in your mind long enough. You've planned, optimized, restructured, and envisioned futures that never asked to be rushed. What you need now is trust. Not blind trust, embodied trust. Trust in the rhythm that has been guiding you even when results were invisible. Trust in the intelligence of your timing. Trust in the quiet knowing that lives beneath thought. Let me ask you something gently. How often have your best decisions come when you felt calm, not desperate? That calm is not coincidence. It is alignment speaking. You may notice that you're making fewer decisions now, but the ones you make feel cleaner. There's less debate inside, less justification afterward. You don't feel the need to explain yourself. You don't need agreement to feel steady. You don't rush to defend your path. This is strength in its most mature form. Power no longer looks like control. It looks like restraint. It looks like patience without resentment. It looks like choosing what resonates and letting the rest fall away without ceremony. There's something deeply Aquarian about this stage. You were never meant to overpower life. You were meant to attune to it. When you stop pushing, you stop broadcasting lack. You stop signaling urgency. You stop negotiating with your own worth. And in that space, life responds differently. Not faster, more accurately. Notice how your body feels when you imagine not forcing the next step. There's relief there, a quiet expansion, a sense of enough. That feeling is not complacency. It is confidence that no longer needs proof. From here, you don't chase outcomes. You choose directions. You don't react to pressure. You respond to truth. And your truth doesn't need volume to be real. Stay with this frequency. It may feel unfamiliar at first, especially if you're used to earning everything through effort. But this is not the absence of movement. This is movement that doesn't exhaust you. As this settles in, something subtle prepares to shift again. Not in the outer world yet, but inside you. A readiness that doesn't announce itself. A clarity that doesn't argue. A knowing that doesn't ask permission. Hold that, because when you move from this place, Aquarius, you won't need to explain why. You'll simply be right. There is a quieter kind of courage settling in now. Not the kind that announces itself. Not the kind that rushes ahead to prove anything. It feels more like a steady breath returning to your chest after a long climb. Like your shoulders remembering they are allowed to soften. Aquarius, this moment does not ask you to leap. It asks you to notice how your feet already know where the ground is. January 30th and 31st move like a subtle current beneath the surface. If you listen closely, you can feel it guiding without pressure. No countdown, no dramatic turning point. Just a gentle nudge that says, stay with this direction. You might find yourself responding to something you once held back from. Not with excitement, with calm. That is how you will know it is real. The message you finally send does not come from urgency. It comes from clarity. The yes that leaves your lips does not steal your sleep. It lets you rest. And the no you offer carries no apology because it does not need one. This is not about momentum the world can measure. This is about internal alignment, the kind Aquarius understands better than most. You have always been ahead of your time, which can feel lonely. But right now, time is meeting you where you stand. The future is not pulling you forward. It is opening its hand and waiting. There is wisdom in small steps when they are chosen with truth. A single decision made without fear can reroute an entire season. You are not fixing your life. You are honoring it. That distinction matters more than you know. Listen to how your body reacts when something is right. There is less tension, less explaining, and less need to rehearse the outcome. Your nervous system recognizes safety before your mind catches up. This is a language you are relearning, and it suits you. January 30th carries a soft resolve. January 31st brings quiet confirmation. Together, they form a bridge you do not need to analyze. You only need to cross it at your own pace. No one is watching. No one is judging the size of your stride. Aquarius, you are not behind. You are not lost. You are moving with intention, and that changes everything. Progress does not always feel loud. Sometimes it feels like peace. Sometimes it feels like not turning around anymore. There is something powerful about choosing not to retreat. Not because you are forcing yourself forward, but because there is nothing back there you need to revisit. You have gathered what you came for. You are carrying it now. Let this be enough. Let this be sacred. The universe does not need you to sprint to believe in you. It responds when you trust the rhythm you helped create. So, tell me, Aquarius, when was the last time a decision felt this simple and this true at the same time? Stay here with this feeling. It is guiding you, quietly, exactly where you are meant to continue. And before we let this moment gently close, I want you to stay right here with me for one more breath. Aquarius, if you felt something soften tonight, that was not an accident. If a quiet truth rose up inside you, unannounced but undeniable, that was you remembering who you are beneath the noise. Nothing dramatic needed to happen for something meaningful to shift. Sometimes the deepest awakenings arrive without knocking. You did not come here to be fixed. You came here to be reflected, to hear your own inner knowing spoken back to you in a different voice. And if part of you feels calmer now, more rooted, more trusting of your own timing, then this message has already done its work. Let this energy stay with you after the audio fades. Carry it into the next small choice you make. Carry it into the pause before you respond. Carry it into the way you speak to yourself when no one else is listening. That is where your real power lives. If something in this journey resonated, I invite you to let your voice be part of this space. Leave a comment. Share what shifted for you, even if it is just one word. Your story may be the sign another Aquarius has been waiting for. And if you feel called, subscribe, not out of habit, but out of alignment. This channel is not about predictions. It is about remembering. Most of all, trust yourself. You are not late. You are not off path. You are exactly where your soul can hear the universe most clearly. This journey does not end here. Another message is already forming. Another layer is waiting to unfold. Until then, stay gentle with your heart, Aquarius. The light you are walking toward has been walking toward you too.